Let's review. Who is this man? That's right. It's the new King Paro. And he is mean. What is the new King Paro so worried about? That's right, the Jewish people are having lots and lots of children, and Paro is afraid that they will grow up and kick him and his people out of Mitzrayim. How silly. What did Paro's advisors tell him to do? He made the Jews into slaves, tricked them into becoming slaves. Boys and girls, this is a brand new picture. Here you see the stargazers looking in the stars. What are they telling Paro is going to happen in the future? That's right, a little baby boy would be born who would grow up to lead the Jewish people out of Mitzrayim. Who did Paro ask to stop taking care of Jewish baby boys? Miriam and her mother Yocheved. Did they agree? No way. So what was Paro's next wicked plan? He decided that he would throw all the baby boys in the river. But what happened to them? Did they drown? No way. The Malachim came and caught those babies and brought them to the softest, greenest grass and gave each baby 2 rocks. One had milk and one had honey. And those babies grew up and went back to their parents. What happened when that special baby was born? The house filled with light. Where did Yocheved hide her precious baby? In a basket in the river. And who is watching over him to see what will happen? His sister Miriam is watching. Who found the little baby? The princess found him and wanted to keep him. Then Miriam had a wonderful idea. Do you remember what it was? She told the princess she would find a Jewish mother to watch the baby. And she called her very own mother Yocheved. When Moshe grew up, what did he become? A shepherd far away from Mitzrayim. What happened when one of Moshe's sheep ran away? Did he just say, "Silly little lamb, I don't need you"? No, he ran after the lamb or the goat and let it drink some water and carried it back. And when Hashem saw how careful Moshe was with the little sheep or the goat, the Torah uses the same word for both, so we don't know which one it was. Hashem said, "Let Moshe be the leader of the Jewish people because I know he will take care of each one of them." Then Moshe saw something crazy. What was it? A bush on fire that wasn't burning out. And whose voice did he hear from the bush? Hashem. That makes Moshe a tzaddik. And Hashem told Moshe to go to Mitzrayim and speak to Paro. But Moshe was nervous, so Hashem showed him a nest. What happened when Moshe threw his stick down? It turned into a snake. What did Paro think of the nest with the stick and the snake? He wasn't very impressed. He thought it was a magic trick. But then Moshe's stick did something that the other magicians couldn't do. It ate the other sticks. But the magicians just thought that Moshe was a better magician than they were. And now we come to the answer to our morning message, the part more Rachel does not love from the story, and that is the 10 Makkot. So the first Makkah is dam. All the water turned to dam. The second Makkah was Tzvardeya. Look at all those frogs. The third Makkah was Kinin. Itchy, itchy lice. So now we're up to the fourth Makkah. These are my friends and they're going to help us because the fourth Makkah was wild animals that came and scared the Mitzrim. They all ran into their houses so scared of all those wild animals, lions and tigers and bears and elephants. But guess what they did for the Jewish children? They let the Jewish children ride on their backs and gave them rides. This Makkah was called Arov. And of course, Paro called Moshe all scared and said, please, get rid of these animals. I'm shaking, I'm scared. And Moshe said tefillah to Hashem and asked Hashem to take away the animals. And don't touch your nose for real when you do this, but you know what Paro said. Nah, 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 I was tricking you. I'm not letting the Jewish people go. So Hashem sent the next Makkah. It was called Dever. All the Mitzrayim animals became sick, very sick. They couldn't give milk, they couldn't give meat, they couldn't give rides, the horses couldn't carry anybody or any wagons. But of course, as you can see on the other side of the picture, the Jewish people's animals are totally healthy. And so Paro called Moshe and said, Moshe, I need my animals. What's going on over here? Say tefillah to Hashem that my animals should get better. And of course Moshe said, will you let the Jewish people go? And Paro said, yeah, of course. So Moshe said tefillah to Hashem and asked Hashem that the animals should get better. And what did Paro do afterwards? Don't touch your nose for real. Nah, 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 I was tricking you. I'm not letting the Jewish people go. So next, Hashem told Moshe and Aharon to go over to the stove. And in the olden days, they had ashes at the bottom of the stove because they had to burn wood to make a fire, but the ashes were cool. So Moshe and Aaron each scooped up a handful of ashes, and they put both handfuls in Moshe's hand, and so he had the ashes in his hand, the handful, and he went 1, 2, 3, pop! And the ashes flew all over Mitzrayim, and all of a sudden, all the Mitzrayim got these ugly boils, like you saw in the picture, these ugly big bubbles all over their bodies, and they hurt, and the doctors didn't know what to do. And they couldn't sit down because of the boils on their bottoms, and they couldn't stand up because of the boils on their feet, and they couldn't lie down because of the boils on their back, and they were just totally uncomfortable. And Paro called to Moshe. Oh, I forgot to tell you, did the Jewish people get boils? Nope. This was called shechim, by the way. Shin, chet, yud, nun, sofit. And Paro called Moshe and said, Moshe, please ask your Hashem to take this shekhinah away from us. And Moshe said, will you let the Jewish people go? And Paro said, of course, it hurts. So Moshe said tefillah to Hashem. And as soon as the shechin were gone and Paro felt all better, what did he do? Don't really touch your nose. Nah, 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 nah. I was tricking you. I won't let the Jewish people go. So the next Makkah is called Barad. Now, we have Barad now too. This is Barad. See? Barad. Now, this is but in English, this is called hail. Sometimes when we have a summer storm, we get hail. They're like pieces of ice, sometimes that tiny, sometimes that big. And they'll hurt if they come down on you, and they might damage the car or the house a little bit, but they're not so dangerous. You just have to be inside for them. But this barad was different. This barad was almost like a nes. It was a ball of ice, and inside was fire. Now, normally that can't exist because either the fire will melt the ice or the ice will put out the fire. But it was a nes that Hashem made for the Mitzrim, and it fell down all on the Mitzrim. And of course, the Jewish people walked right through it, and nothing happened. And of course, Paro called to Moshe and said, "Ouch, Moshe, get rid of this barad already." And Moshe said, "Will you let the Jewish people go?" And he said, "Of course." And what happened when the barad stopped? Na, 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 I was tricking you. So then came the next makkah. It's called Arbe. You might not think arbe is such a big deal. They're grasshoppers. In English, they're called locusts. The problem is when there are millions and billions of them, they eat everything. They ate all the fruits and vegetables. They ate all the wheat and all the barley and all the grain. By the time they left Mitzrayim, there was not a single teeny tiny bit of green. And of course, Paro asked Moshe to get rid of them, and Moshe said, "Sure, if you'll let the Jewish people go." And what did Paro say when the arbe went away? "Na, na, 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 I was tricking you." So the next makkah was choshech, darkness, and the Jewish people had light even during the day. Now, the choshech, the darkness, wasn't just regular dark. It just wasn't black and dark. It was so dark, it was like jello. The Mitzrim couldn't move. They were stuck to whatever they were doing. If they were in the middle of dancing, they were frozen like this for 3 days. If they were sitting, they were frozen for 3 days sitting. If they were standing up, they were frozen standing for 3 days. And if they were sitting on the body, they were stuck on the body for 3 days. Somehow, Paro called to Moshe, and of course, when Moshe said tefillah and the choshech went away, what did he say? "Na, na, 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 I was tricking you." So now, okay friends, so now we're going to play a game. It's going to be like freeze dance. I'm going to turn on the music, but instead of stopping when the music stops, it's going to go dark. And when it goes dark, you need to stop and freeze, just like the Mitzrim were frozen. Are you ready? Let's get that music going. Oh. And here we go. Freeze. 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 Oh, that's a good darkness. Freeze. Freeze. Are you still frozen? Okay, you can move again. And for the last time, freeze. go sit back down at your computer so you can finish the story. So now we come to the very last Makkah. It is called Makkat Bechorot. Hashem told the Bnei Israel to paint the doors red. And this way the Malach he was sending would know to pass over, that's where the name Passover comes from, to skip over their houses. And then the Malach came and took away the oldest in every house.
So all of a sudden, Paro realized, wait a second, I'm the oldest in my family. Maybe that Malach is going to come and take me away. Oh my goodness, I need to find Moshe. And he jumped out of bed in his pajamas. Can you believe that? He ran into the streets in his pajamas and started looking for Moshe. So he ran to where the Jewish people were living. And he saw some Jewish kids looking out the window and he said, hey, where does Moshe live? Where does Moshe live? Like that street. And another one said, no, go to the well and turn left and turn right and this way and that way. And Paro is running all around and he can't find Moshe. And finally he finds Moshe's door and he goes, Moshe, get out of here. Get the Jewish people out of here now. Leave Mitzrayim. And do you know what Moshe said? Do you know what Moshe said? No. He said, no, we're not leaving in the middle of the night. We are going to wait until tomorrow daytime. And when we're all packed up, we will leave Mitzrayim.
The next day, the Jewish people left Mitzrayim.